Being active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
Hang down, flip it and reverse it.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Welcome in. It is the Sunday Rewind. It's Sunday, right? It's 6 o'clock. That means the Sunday Rewind. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, normally here. He's in Chicago. I think he was going to Florida, and he got somehow stuck in Chicago this weekend, but not a bad place to get stuck in, right? Chicago's pretty cool. The Sunday Rewind, basically, we rewind. We talk about all the sports that happened this week, all the big topics in sports. We focus a lot on Nebraska. And just to kind of jog your memory, we like to start at the starting gate. Some of the things that happened this week, Steph Curry scored 43 points, broke my heart Friday night in Boston as Golden State even their series with Boston at 2 games apiece. Tomorrow is Game 5. It'll be in San Francisco. The Las Vegas Raiders have agreed to a multi-year extension with Hunter Renfrow worth $32 million. The Walton Penner Group has agreed to buy the Denver Broncos and they've contacted Peyton Manning about a role in that organization that could lead to some big stake and big money for him. The Los Angeles Rams signed Aaron Donald. He became the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. 3 years, $95 million is what he gets. with the Super Bowl champs and maybe gives them a chance to repeat. Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF will officially join the Big 12 in July. That's of 2023 after releasing an agreement. The agreement, of course, with the American Athletic Conference. They let them go, basically. An independent BYU will also join the conference. The Nebraska football team picked up a commitment from Scottsbluff offensive lineman Brock Knutson. Dustin Johnson withdrew his membership from the PGA Tour and will join the Saudi Golf League. You know, I don't even know who won this weekend in Saudi Arabia. The PGA Tour, I think, has got him. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. Tiger says he's out for next week's U.S. Open, saying his body still needs more time to recover. The Nebraska baseball team lost a key piece of their pitching puzzle for next year. Cody Frank hits the transfer portal. Frank Solage is in or at least on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame. He's not in yet, but does he deserve to be in? We'll talk about that. The 2022 Nebraska Hall of Fame was headlined by Guy Chamberlain and Shane Comine earlier this week. And Nebraska is being sued again by the USA Today, Scott Frost and Fred Hoiberg. Their contracts are basically in dispute, and we'll talk about that a little later on. And Anthony Grant named to the National Junior College, well, he's named the Junior College Male Athlete of the Year. Very impressive. I kind of want to start there with Anthony Grant because I look at the running back room for Nebraska and wonder, do they have a guy? I thought Mo Washington was at one time the guy. That did not turn out to be the case for Nebraska. I think they had Wan'Dale Robinson that at times at running back could be the guy, but he wasn't a full-time running back. Was, I think, proved this year in the SEC at Kentucky that he's a much better wide receiver. Devine Ezigbo was the last guy. If you want to talk about a guy that ran for 1,000 yards at the University of Nebraska, the best running back since when? Devine Ezigbo. I don't know. Maybe go Amir Abdullah. Maybe he wouldn't go. Maybe go to Rex. But he's the last guy for Nebraska to rush for 1,000 yards, Devine Ezigbo. Maybe it was the offensive line. Maybe it was a combination of, just adjusting to the Scott Frost offense in year number one. But Nebraska hasn't had a guy. Maybe it's Anthony Grant. Anthony Grant won the David Rowlands Male Athlete of the Year award on Friday night. The award recognizes the best athlete across all the junior college ranks. And they do it on the male side. They do it on the female side. He won the Male Athletic Award. Last year at New Mexico Military Institute, he rushed for 1,700 yards and I believe 26 TDs, helped the Broncos win a national title in New Mexico. He was also the National Junior College Offensive Player of the Year in 2021. He was a rushing champion. He was a first-team All-American in junior college. He was the MVP of the national championship game. But is he the answer for Nebraska? Because I look at that running back room and think, if they've got 1,000-yard rushers, Scott Frost is okay. He's going to make it. He's going to make it to at least 6 wins this year. They almost did it in year number one. Well, they came close in year number one because they had Devine Ezigbo. They didn't have a defense. Now I think they do have a defense. They may have a pass rush, but can they run the football? I think Donovan Raiola is a big question mark for me, replacing Greg Austin as the offensive line coach and trying to find a horse, trying to find the next Amir Abdullah, trying to find somebody who can run for 1,000 yards. And maybe that is Anthony Grant. Is he the best hope for Nebraska to get to 6? I mean, I look at, or even to get to 1,000 rushing the football. I do look at Jaquez Yant, and I'm curious about that dude. I saw him up close at one of the ticket events in the summer, or actually this winter. And we were out. I believe we were at Tanner's. Had a great time. The entire offensive lineman was there. The offensive line was there. And Jaquez Yant was there as well. And he looked lean and good and 230 pounds. I think he was playing somewhere around 250 last year. I don't think he's the starter. I think Anthony Grant is, but I think Jaquez Yant could be a nice help to Anthony Grant. Anthony Grant had the big run in the spring game, the burst for, 63 yards and a touchdown in that touch football game that we saw in the spring game at Memorial Stadium. No, it wasn't a great game, and he probably was down. He probably was touchdown after a 5-yard gain is probably what it should have gone as. But he did show some explosiveness. And I just announced all the awards that he came off with. He started his career at Florida State, then went to Mexico Military Institute, and now has ended up at Nebraska as the best player coming out of junior college. It hasn't always worked out for Nebraska and junior college players. Worked out with Mike Rozier, okay. But that was 1980, 81 when he arrived at Nebraska, 82 when he arrived at Nebraska, won the Heisman in 83. I wonder. I mean, talent is talent. I don't care where you get it. Nebraska has not had, under Scott Frost, a lot of success in the JUCO ranks. And Jaquez Yant is a walk-on. I do believe he might be getting the scholarship if he doesn't have one already. But those are two guys that give me confidence that Nebraska, at least as a team, can rush over 1,000 yards. I think you better. But you're taking away a guy in Adrian Martinez who, ran for 500 last year? He was your leading rusher. Your leading rusher was your quarterback on this team. Does Nebraska have that guy? I'm curious about Grant. I love Jaquez Yant. Ramir Johnson, to me, I'm sorry, but he feels more like a third down running back to me. If he's more than that, maybe this is his year to prove it. Gabe Irvin, of course, looked like he was going to have a very good freshman year, injured in a play against Oklahoma that might have gone for, who knows, might have gone for a touchdown. But, knee goes one way, leg goes the other way, and you get on the injured reserve list. But he'll be back for fall camp. He was not available, I don't believe, in the spring. You've still got Marquise Stepp. You've got a Jay Allen. He's arriving from high school from Louisiana, ran for 2,200 yards last year, 34 TDs as a senior in Louisiana. Then you have Emmett Johnson from Minnesota. So I'll be interested with the running back room, because if Nebraska can run for 2,000 yards as a team, I think that's really, really good. If you can get to the 5 yards a carry mark, if you can find 1,000-yard rusher, if you can score when you get inside the 20-yard line, and that's what the running game does, right? Nebraska hasn't had that ability outside of Adrian Martinez, maybe in many cases, running the football in the red zone, and that's why they've struggled, in my opinion, to a great deal in the red zone. And if Anthony Grant's that guy, if Jaquez Yant is that guy, heck, Ramir Johnson, I'll take it. Maybe it's Gabe Irvin. At least they've got bodies. And then, of course, with A.J. Allen, I think you've added something from the high school ranks, a 4-star that decommitted to TCU, and Brian Applegate got to decommit and then commit to Nebraska. Frank Solich is up for the Hall of Fame. Frank, of course, retired at Ohio in 2021, and Ohio immediately fell apart without him. They were just terrible this last year without Frank Solich as the head coach. And it makes me think maybe he helped prove his point that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I mean, before Frank Solich got to Ohio, they were a terrible football team. And after he got to Ohio, they became a really good football team. They were never great. They were never. But you're talking about Frank Solich taking a program that's never done anything. It's a program that consistently won the MAC. In fact, Frank Solich is the winningest coach in MAC history. MAC history. And at Nebraska, by the way, he didn't do that poorly. In 6 years, from 1998 to 2003, Frank Solich went 58-19. And in some cases, I lived through that time. Nebraskans couldn't wait to get rid of Frank Solich. And some believe there's a hex on the program because Frank is gone. 22 seasons coaching football. He was 173 and 101. As I mentioned, 58 and 19. No, they aren't Tom Osborne numbers. But I think more based on what he did at Ohio than what he did at Nebraska, that guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think you always hear following a legend might be the toughest thing to do in sports. Following Michael Jordan, following Tiger Woods, following Tom Osborne, following Bob Devaney. There's been very few guys that have followed a guy that had the success of Bob Devaney and then follow it up with 3 national titles. Now, it took Tom a long time. I get that. When he took over, he was not Bob Devaney. Couldn't win the big one. Lost 7 straight bowl games. And then finally, of course, got over that hump in the 90s. He got a guy named Tommy Frazier, and they go 60-3, and they win 3 national titles. But what happened to Tom Osborne with Bob Devaney happened really to Frank Solich. It just feels like Nebraska didn't give him enough time. Don't forget, Tom Osborne took over in 1972. By 1975, I believe it was, or 1978, actually it was, after the big win against Oklahoma, Tom Osborne considered going to Colorado. Frank Solich, his dream job was to replace Tom Osborne, and Tom Osborne told Frank, hey, it's your gig. Just be patient. But he had to deal with athletic directors and Bill Byrne. And that's what he was called at the time. Bill Byrne was not probably a big fan of having Frank Solich as the next coach at Nebraska. I think that maybe he's told me he wanted Pete Carroll. Or not Pete Carroll, he wanted Mac Brown. I think Pete Carroll might have been on the list. But Mac Brown was the number one choice, I believe, for Bill Byrne at that time to replace Tom Osborne. Tom Osborne made sure, and he had the authority and the power to do it, that Frank was the guy. Frank won the gig. Frank almost won a national title. I mean, we all remember the fumble at the goal line. It was Alexander. Alexander fumbled near the goal line, I believe it was. And Nebraska loses to Texas. They come back and beat them in the Big 10 or Big 12 championship game, I should say. But they can't get to the national title game. That year, they ended up beating Tennessee, I believe, in the Fiesta Bowl, and that was the best team. And I think it was Florida State that finally won it that year over Virginia Tech, playing for the national title over Virginia Tech. But it makes me think, had Frank gotten over the hump and maybe found a way to win that Texas game, win the national title, you don't make the change because, of course, he was fired shortly after losing in a national title game to Miami. The following year, he goes 10-3, not good enough. Steve Peterson is back, similar to comments we had to consider where Iowa was. We won't sink to mediocrity was the comment from Peterson at the time. And then you went down Bill Callahan Road. You went from a guy that went 58-19 and just wasn't Tom. His biggest crime is he never was Tom Osborne. He wasn't Tom Osborne. To now being considered for the College Football Hall of Fame. And don't forget, Frank was a great high school coach as well. Won championship after championship at Lincoln Southeast. He's one of those dudes that he will never get his due. I don't know if he'll ever come back to Nebraska and actually watch a game. I think that Frank, no matter what he says publicly, I think Frank, and justifiably so, is a little bit hurt that he wasn't the head coach for a longer period of time, that he got fired after going 9-3. Nebraska finishing 10-3 after that victory over Michigan State. And of course, it led to the hiring ultimately down the road of Bo Pelini, even though it wasn't right away. It was a little time water had passed under the bridge, but there was a connection there. I mean, some talk about maybe you shouldn't have fired Bo. Frank has a better case than Bo as to why he should never have been fired. His biggest crime was he tried to replace a legend, and that, replacing Tom Osborne almost never works. It almost never, ever works. In some cases it does, but in most cases it does not. The Nebraska Sports Hall of Fame was announced earlier this week. We talked about Frank Solich possibly going into the National Hall of Fame. And I would love to see that. But the local Hall of Fame was announced earlier this week. Let's see if I can pull it up. Mentioned that Nebraska football got a commitment from a big dude earlier this week. But the Sports Hall of Fame has been announced. The class includes Guy Chamberlain. You also had Christina Hotelling, great volleyball player for Nebraska. Shane Comine in baseball. Angela Thacker in track. Ali Viola at softball, and former Nebraska bowling coach Bill Straub also got into the Hall of Fame. Made Nebraska national power. Yeah, it's bowling. Bill Straub's a stud. And Nebraska every year has a chance to win a national title in bowling. And right now, I'll take it. 76 days till kickoff, so we're going to have a lot of bowling talk probably and other things between now and then. We got to get through the summer, but 76 days is a long time. Congratulations to all the entrants into the Nebraska Hall of Fame. The guy that sticks out to me on this list, Shane Comine, Hawaiian Punch. Rob Childress' story is went to Hawaii, scouted this little guy who was about 5'9", sopping wet, 160 pounds, brought him back, and he became a Nebraska Hall of Famer and helped revive Nebraska baseball to the point where they're going to College World Series at a school from the north where you have so much snow that people just laugh at you when you consider yourself or try to consider yourself a baseball school. Speaking of baseball, what's going on with Nebraska baseball right now? Mentioned that Cody Frank has entered the transfer portal. He was a big key piece of Nebraska baseball, I thought, last year. In 2022, this past season, he won 5 games in 14 appearances, had a 3.81 ERA, 70 strikeouts in 59 innings, second best ERA, right behind Emmett Olson on this staff. 70 strikeouts were second to Shea Shanneman. Not a big arm, but a guy who could really dominate the strike zone, could get outs, was a big key in you winning the Big Ten championship last year. Another leader gone from this team. It feels like, and let's face it, he won a Big Ten championship. I trust whatever Will Bolt wants to do. Will Bolt still has the keys to the house. I mean, he can still do whatever he wants to do. He built this thing along with the help of Darren Erstad. I don't know that Darren Erstad gets enough credit for last year's team and all the leaders that he recruited that ended up being on that team that won the Big Ten championship. But I trust Will Bolt and Rob Childress back now at Nebraska, and Lance Harvell. I think they know what they're doing when it pertains to baseball. But last year made you go, what the heck did we just watch? Because that was a team that could not score runs. They were actually decent on the mound. But one of the pieces to that puzzle on the mound was a guy who's decided to enter the transfer portal. Cody Frank. He was a guy that you knew could come in, give you outs, and get you to the next inning without runs scored in most cases. It just makes me think what the HE double toothpicks is going on. And I know it's the portal era. Maybe you just chalk it up to that, right? You chalk it up to the fact that guys, even when they're doing well, maybe I can make more money. Maybe I can be closer to home and make more money. Maybe I could just be happier. Maybe my girlfriend, Adrian Martinez, is going to Kansas State. I don't know why guys hit the transfer portal. Casey Thompson, Nebraska had an availability. And they probably had some transfer portal money for him through name, image, and likeness. O'Shawn Mathis ends up in Nebraska because they're able to pay him $500,000-$600,000. And not every school is, even in the Power 5, is able to do that and promote your product. So, maybe there were opportunities for Cody Frank and some of the other guys that left the program, or maybe they were asked to leave the program. That sometimes happens as well. Sometimes it's a mutual decision. Sometimes I don't think Cam Chick surprised me a lot. That Cam Chick at first said that he was just going to finish his career at Nebraska, his school career, and leave the baseball diamond. And now he's decided to enter the transfer portal. One of the big leaders along with Cody Frank last year. I think Swellenbach, you can't give him enough credit for what they did to win the Big Ten and then get, and almost win the Arkansas Regional as well. But come that close to the NCAA tournament. That was a tight-knit group. You had great leaders. I kind of thought Cody Frank was one of them. But you never know what goes on behind closed doors. That's an old Charlie Rich song, I think it is. Pretty sure it's Charlie Rich. When we get behind closed doors. Anybody? Bueller? Anybody remember? Anyway, I trust Will Bolt to get this thing done at Nebraska. He's always done it. And I think that was just a blip on the radar screen for Nebraska baseball. I hope they have a plan that includes lots of great leaders, lots of guys like Spencer Swellenbach. If they can get those guys, and I thought Cam Chick as well. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe they just need more offense. They were a bad offensive baseball team this past year and didn't even make their own tournament in Omaha. Didn't even make their own. I mean, yeah, you have to be top, 8? 8? It shouldn't be that bad. It shouldn't be. I thought Nebraska, maybe I'm naive. I thought Nebraska would come into the Big Ten and dominate baseball. I really did. And they won the Big Ten. That is an improving conference. It's getting better. Michigan, heck, they were a couple of pitches away from winning the College World Series a few years back. So, yeah, that's something you would never say about the Big Ten. I don't know that I expect, Dave Van Horn baseball in Lincoln anytime soon. I would love that if that happens. If what Dave Van Horn did here and is now doing it at Arkansas could happen again, that'd be great. I'd just like to win a regional. I'd like to get to regionals consistently. I'd like to get to Omaha when the tournament is in Omaha. I don't think that's too much to ask. And again, my trust factor with Nebraska baseball is still really high. But it did make it do a double take, what we saw. And I think because the College World Series is going on, next weekend, and you're concluding super regionals and you're seeing, Notre Dame, a team from the North, knock off the number 1 national seed, Tennessee. Notre Dame. I know Notre Dame's good in baseball this year. And congratulations to the Irish. 7-3, they reach Omaha by beating the number 1 national seed, Tennessee. Actually gives me a little more confidence that a team from the North, I know it's Notre Dame, a lot of resources, but Nebraska has a lot of resources as well. If Notre Dame can get to the College World Series, Nebraska should be in the College World Series. And they've proven that they can get there. And I think that's the goal. I think that's a big, fat goal that guys like Will Bolt openly talk about. I know Lance Harvell does. They're not afraid of being afraid. They're not afraid of setting their goals really high. And they should. Dave Van Horn spoiled us a little bit, and Will Bolt did last year, thinking that Nebraska baseball should be good. Darren Erstad did that as well for me. I don't think Darren gets enough credit for building a pretty strong culture when he handed the car keys to Will Bolt and the gang. Let's get to break. Lot to cover. I wanted to talk about the USA Today lawsuit against the University of Nebraska. We hit on a little Nebraska baseball. There's stories from the PGA Tour. And I do want to talk golf and this new Saudi Golf League. Because the PGA Tour had a great day today. And it proved to me once again why they're the best. And they'll always be the best. Let's get to break. It's the Sunday Rewind. I'm Tom Stevens.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese Beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Allo means business. Allo means local business. Allo means big business. Allo means small business. No matter your business, if you need reliable phone and internet connectivity, you need Allo. Local service and same-day dispatch. Free installation. Symmetrical upload and download speeds. If your business relies on communication, rely on Allo. Allo means business. Visit allofiber.com/business.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake.
Mike Schaefer here for Trek CBD. Springtime is here, and that means you're outside more in nice weather and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go.
Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Call Nebraska Auto Detail today at 402-601-5086.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me, whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors. There's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska.
This is the Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, Sunday Rewind. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby on vacation this week. By the way, we're starting up a new podcast. It's called Nebraska Gems, nebraskagems.com. Coming to you shortly. We're going to interview Nebraskans. They have cool stories to share. Some of them famous, some of them you'll know. Others maybe not so much. But they all have great stories to share. I find that everybody does. Everybody has a pretty good story in them. Sometimes just digging it up is the big problem with those things. You know what I noticed this time of year, especially on like Twitter and stuff, and I did this as well when I threw out the first pitch for the Lincoln Salt Dogs. Everybody has their own media night. You introduce the radio station dudes. Here's Tom Stevens from 97.30 The Ticket. Give him a big hand as he throws out the first pitch. And then, it's a lot harder than you think. Especially if you try to be that guy that wants to pitch it. You remember your high school days or, maybe before that, you played Pee Wee baseball and you thought, I was probably the best arm on that team. I bet I could still crank it through there at a good 73 miles an hour. First of all, you're probably not going to reach 75. You're not going to reach 55 in many cases. I've done those things at the fair. It's harder than it looks. But it's also harder than it looks. That's why they sometimes have you climb to the bottom of the mound, but you have the guys that want to, they want to throw it from the mound. They're being videotaped, and their buddies are going to razz them if they don't throw it from the mound and they throw it hard. You can't just lollipop it up there. You can, I suppose. But you don't deserve any sort of clapping from me if you're not going to wind up and throw a pitch. And so guys do it, and inevitably it goes right in the dirt. And then everybody laughs at them, and it's all fun. But I was terrible at it as well. I was not good at throwing out the first pitch. I don't remember a good one. I don't even remember a strike or close to a strike. I mean, sometimes, they'll give you a strike if you're close to the plate, even as a rookie. But no, I was terrible at throwing out first pitches. The Nebraska football team has picked up a commitment from Scottsbluff offensive lineman Brock Knutson. Knutson is a 6'7", 290-pound offensive tackle with interest from Iowa State and Kansas State. So no other offers that I know of. But and you wonder about the competition playing at Scottsbluff, although there have been some excellent players that have played at Scottsbluff. I know Nelson is obviously very good, but Knutson, 6'7", 290, and we'll see what Nebraska is getting. I think they can put as much weight. They think they can put as much as 330 pounds on this frame. He's got a big frame, big body. 7th overall commitment, the 3rd in-state offensive lineman so far. He joins Gunnar Gatula of Southeast and Sam Sledge of Creighton Prep. So some good offensive line talent in the state of Nebraska. The pipeline, man, you had guys, you had dudes that in many cases they were walk-ons, sure. But there were a lot of guys like Dave Remington from the state of Nebraska that dominated. That's, I guess, why it was good for me to see Cam Jurgens to do that. But if Nebraska can continue to get offensive linemen to the state of Nebraska, I think that's what you do. You get your speed right. I mean, it's kind of a recruiting cliche. The speed guys, Texas, Florida, California, but you got to get your big dudes, your offensive, your defensive linemen from the 500-mile radius. And I think that was a big recipe for Tom Osborne in recruiting. Speaking of recruiting, Malachi Coleman is blowing up. He said Nebraska hit it out of the park last week when he visited for his big weekend. After his junior season, Coleman has now picked up offers from Florida State. He's got Florida State, Iowa, Michigan, Georgia, Oklahoma, Oregon, Penn State, USC, and others. His recruitment is obviously blowing up big time. And it's not necessarily decided where he's going to play. I think obviously he could be a great wide receiver. There are a few schools that like him as a tight end. And then there are other teams that are recruiting him as a defensive end. I think defensive end might be his best position. But Coleman says he won't be deciding until December 18th. He's ranked as the 208th prospect nationally and the 15th best athlete in the entire country. He is the highest ranked athlete in the state of Nebraska. At wide receiver, he had 17 receptions for 560 yards and 10 TDs. At defensive end, 57 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. He says he's taken an official visit this weekend, or did take an official visit this weekend to Oklahoma, and has one scheduled June 24th with Michigan as well. Mickey Joseph has done a great job of recruiting. We obviously know that. He can recruit not just the wide receiver position, his position of what his expertise. He's a wide receivers coach. But I think he can recruit anywhere. And his ability to want to do it, because I wouldn't. I don't think I would be a good recruiter. Bill Bush, an older dude, 53, 54. He and Mickey have to be similar ages. They both coached at LSU, by the way. Both very good recruiters under Ed Orgeron. But they both like it, and they both want to do it. If you don't want to recruit, I think you're just going to be a crappy recruiter. That's just my opinion. You got to want to do it. Get up in the morning, text a kid, get on social media, put on the hat for the family, do the whole spiel. And you can't possibly mean it all the time. Maybe a guy like Mickey Joseph or Bill Bush do. Maybe they just. I wouldn't want Jack Pierce, close friend of mine, maybe the best recruiter in the history of Nebraska football, and one of the better evaluators of football talent you'll ever see. Loved doing it. gregarious guy. It was what he was great at. He can talk. And he can recruit, and he knew who would fit well at Nebraska. And he had a good relationship, Jack Pierce, with Tom Osborne in understanding each other's language. And he would bring in Tom Osborne at the end, and Tom was one of the best closers, I think, of all time when you're talking about recruiters. But Jack Pierce, great recruiter. And I think Nebraska's got some really good recruiters. I mentioned Bill Bush and obviously Mickey Joseph on this staff. I think Scott Frost is a very good recruiter. But Nebraska, because of, not having a winning season, and this is going into year number 5, it's been very difficult for the Huskers to recruit. And I do like where they're going. They're off to some nice momentum. Obviously, picking up 15 dudes in the transfer portal in the offseason, that's recruiting. And more recruits ended up at Nebraska ever. I mean, in the history of now the NCAA allows you to go beyond the 25 as far as a recruiting class. But Bill Callahan, I think, had a recruiting class of, and Sean Callahan's would know the answer to this question. But Bill Callahan, I believe, at one point had a recruiting class of 34, 32, 33, 34, something like that. But Nebraska went beyond that this year, mostly because you're allowed to go beyond it. And the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness all factor into that. And Nebraska can certainly offer more goodies than just about anybody in college football. But if you're going to win, you need guys like Mickey Joseph recruiting guys like Malachi Coleman to Nebraska. And I hope he ends up here because of those schools. Let's see. Michigan, Iowa. Yeah, I wouldn't want him to end up at Iowa. If he ends up at Iowa, I'll be mad. If he ends up at Michigan, I'll be mad. Georgia, Oklahoma, Oregon, maybe not as mad. Penn State, still mad. I don't want him to end up in the Big Ten outside of Nebraska. But if, that's the way it is, right? In-state player doesn't choose Nebraska. Maybe you can forgive him a little bit if he goes somewhere other than another Big Ten school. I don't want to play against that guy. I mean, if Nebraska doesn't get Malachi Coleman, I don't want to play against him on Saturday. That wouldn't be fun. The guy's really good. I did want to get to golf. Congratulations to Rory Mcilroy, a winner today on tour. A place he's won before. We'll talk a little golf. Let's see what's left. Definitely some golf, though. Live with it. The U.S. Open is next weekend. So we're going to talk about it. We'll do it next on the Sunday Rewind.
Shopping for insurance can be a tedious and frustrating task, but the agents at Brokers Insurance Agency will do the work for you. They have partnered with over 20 of the best insurance carriers in the nation, which allows them to do the shopping all for you. Whether you're looking for business insurance or employee benefits for your company, or you're looking to save money on your home and auto insurance, Brokers Insurance Agency has the agents and solutions to help meet your goals. Call 402-420-5353 or email staff@brokersinsurancene.com.
Join Nebraska Public Media and Trailblazers in women's athletics Saturday, June 18th for a live event celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX legislation. Join me, Aaron Sorensen, along with 3-time Olympic medalist and Nebraska volleyball standout Jordan Larson, plus Carol Frost, Peaches James Keaton, and Brenda Van Langen. Title IX, 50 years in the making, is Saturday, June 18th at 6 p.m. in the Coliseum at UNL. Free tickets are available at nebraskapublicmedia.org/Title IX.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric ensures our home and office HVAC systems run smoothly throughout the year to provide maximum comfort and convenience. Routine maintenance reduced our operating costs just by improving the efficiency of our unit. Consider a maintenance agreement to ensure you too receive priority for services and scheduling. This helps meet manufacturer warranty requirements. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charlie Stone, and joining me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Andy, I know you have hundreds of new Hondas on the way, but let's talk about your pre-owned inventory.
You know, everyone in Lincoln and surrounding areas know we sell new and pre-owned Hondas, but a lot of people I talk to don't realize that we sell all makes and models.
All makes of imports and domestics, right?
Yes. In addition to Hondas, we sell Toyotas, Nissans, Volkswagens, Kias, domestic vehicles, and we have more than 125 to choose from right now, with fresh trade-ins arriving daily.
Andy, I hear about many people choosing certified pre-owned.
They are, Charlie. It's like buying a new car with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty and a special low-rate financing. Best of all, the customer can take immediate delivery.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Hey, it's Brad Banks of the Nebraska football team.
And they're in New Ely.
Join us this week for Sunday morning pancakes at Lincoln's Pub at 48th and Layton.
Check out the newest brunch in town and bring your friends.
That's this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sunday morning pancakes at Lincoln's Pub at 48th and Layton.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is under new management, but has the same great service as before. If your current garage door seems outdated or isn't working properly, call their new number at 402-480-2840 to schedule service or get a new door ordered. Steve's can repair most types of garage doors and can always point you in the right direction to get the job done. Give Steve's Garage Doors and Services a call today at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840.
Back to the Sunday Rewind with Tom and Mike.
That's old school.
Yeah? No school like the old school. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Sunday Rewind. Tom Stevens here. Mike Melby in Chicago for the weekend. Even in the offseason, there's a lot to talk about. I talked about Anthony Grant being the possible 1,000-yard back for Nebraska this year. Frank Solich story this year. This week, I should say, being nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame. Hope he gets there. We talked about that. The Nebraska Sports Hall. I do want to mention the lawsuit, the USA Today lawsuit. But this is usually the time we do the Get Off My Lawn segment.
Get off my lawn.
And I don't have a great nominee for this week, but Draymond Green bothers me. He's a great basketball player, and I think some of it's an act. He wants to get under your best player's skin, and he's done a good job from time to time of that with Jason Tatum. And I think that Tatum hasn't played his best basketball, and Brown the same way. And he's out there and he's wrestling around, but he jumps on piles unnecessarily, kicks guys unnecessarily. He's just an agitator. And he can get off my lawn. I'm sorry. It's just
get off my lawn.
But Golden State does look good. They're going to be tough to beat, I think, down the stretch. 43 points in a game that you had to win. You couldn't afford, if you're Golden State, on Friday night to go down 3-1 to the Celtics. And of course, Steph does what Steph does. 43 points, fantastic performance. Basically, without Kevin Durant, because some of those titles are like, yeah, I could have been on that team and we would have won a title. But if they win this time around, down 2-1, looked like they were going to go down 3-1, Steph steps up in a big game 4 and does what a Michael Jordan would do, what we've seen LeBron do from time to time, certainly what Kobe did. And that's what separates those guys on a team that is, let's face it, Nebraska. I bleed Husker Red with the Celtics, but that team is more athletic than Golden State. Jaylen Brown, Marcus Tatum, or Jason Tatum, I should say, Marcus Smart. That team is more athletic. Kevin Williams is really talented. I mean, they've got some guys that are just more athletic, but they're not as skilled, and they don't have Steph Curry. And that kind of nullifies athletic talent, especially when you have a Jason Tatum who hasn't decided that he's one of the best players in the world right now. I wish he were. If he decides that, takes over game 5, they go on the road tomorrow night and beat Golden State, then I'm back to saying, okay, that's the Jason Tatum I was looking for, to dominate a game and get it back to the Garden with a chance to win a world championship. Mentioned the story of Nebraska getting sued. Here it is. Friday, the USA Today filed a public records lawsuit against the UNL Director of Records for denying a request to provide details about the metrics in Scott Frost and Fred Hoiberg's restructured contracts. According to previously released information, Frost includes a reduction of salary from $5 to $4 million a year in 2022 and a much smaller buyout if Nebraska fires him this coming year. It also gives him the potential, though, to bump his salary back to $5 million a year. Say they get to a bowl game. I think that would be feasible, or do something better than that. The university and athletic director, Trev Alberts, worked a similar deal with Fred Hoiberg, the basketball coach. It kind of feels like the university just doesn't want the USA Today snooping around in their coaches' contracts. But I didn't think that was legal. I thought it was, we pay taxes last time I checked for the University of Nebraska. It's a tax collecting university, I believe. Am I wrong on that? I might be wrong. But I mean, it's public record, right? They're state employees, public record. You should be able to look at those contracts. And I think the Journal Star and World Herald have both asked to look at those contracts as well. And the university is saying, no, we don't want you looking. We don't want you nosing around here. We don't like you. No, not that we don't like you. We just don't want you looking at those things. So it'll be interesting to see who wins out on that. It feels like the USA Today and Journal Star probably should be able to look at those contracts. And we, as fans of the University of Nebraska, ought to be able to look in finer detail at those contracts. Not sure why we're not allowed, but who knows? That might change. Two-sport Husker athlete has arrived in Lincoln. This is kind of a story that's not that big of a deal, but Maggie Mendelson has a chance to change two athletic programs at the same time. She is going to be a Husker basketball player this year, ranked 32nd in the country coming out of high school. And she's ranked as the fourth best player in volleyball. So she'll play for John Cook. I don't know if she's an outside or a middle, but she's 6'5". She's from Ogden, Utah, and will spend her first month in Lincoln with Amy Williams and the Nebraska basketball team. She's averaged 17 points and 9 rebounds in high school. Nebraska will have all 5 starters back next year from a team that made the NCAA tournament. You're going to have Sam Hyvee, who I think when she's healthy, I didn't think she was completely healthy this year. She's amazing. Then you got Jazz Shelley. You got Allison Widener, the freshman. You got Izzy Bourne coming back. And Alexa Markowski, a girl that Nebraska got to commit late in the process. Was it the flip from South Dakota State? She flipped late in the process. Nebraska gets her. Markowski ends up being the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. If you can get a similar story from Maggie Mendelson, a player who was much more highly recruited than was Alexis Markowski. If she's the real deal, both in volleyball and Nebraska, we could be having this discussion in 50 years on sports radio in Lincoln, Nebraska. Is Maggie Mendelson the best two-sport athlete in Nebraska history? Well, you got to argue Eric Strickland. The Strick will always come up, or maybe, as far as 3 sports, he would be the guy. He played baseball, basketball, and football. There's not a lot of 17-year-olds in the world that are capable of playing college basketball. There are almost no 17-year-olds in the world that can play college basketball and college volleyball for the University of Nebraska. I'm banking that she's pretty good, though. I'm guessing that she's pretty good. I can't wait to see her. Am I more excited to see Maggie Mendelson play volleyball or basketball? The answer to that is probably volleyball, because she's the 4th ranked recruit in volleyball. She's the 32nd ranked recruit in basketball. But she has a chance to probably make a bigger impact on the Nebraska basketball team than the Nebraska volleyball team, because it's hard to crack that starting lineup. Nebraska has the number 1 recruit every single year in volleyball. So what? You're the 4th best recruit. You're 4th? We have 3 that are, that's what Nebraska is. They are the Duke of college basketball as far as recruiting is concerned in college volleyball. It's insane. It's crazy what you think about John Cook and what he has done at the University of Nebraska. Because Nebraska doesn't get Maggie Mendelson probably without John Cook. Amy Williams isn't allowed probably to coach her if it's not for John Cook, because John Cook gets her to campus. Volleyball's got to be her number 1 love. That's right, right? It's got to be right. She's the 4th best recruit in volleyball in the country, 32nd in basketball. So she chose Nebraska because of volleyball. But Nebraska basketball gets the benefit on the side, and now she's playing 2 sports. 17-year-old trying to manage her time, running from volleyball to basketball. Wow. She's going to be busy. She's going to be really busy. But I guess she's already here. So can't wait to see Maggie Mendelson. Mentioned Aaron Donald. He's the highest paid player now in the history of the NFL that wasn't a quarterback. That's not a quarterback. 3 years, $95 million. Played for the Rams last year. And, of course, it led to a Super Bowl. And now he was saying that whole time for a while, saying for much of the time, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, that, you know what, I'll just retire. And it was the biggest poker face ever. Nobody believed that he was ever going to retire, right? Did you really think that Aaron Donald was going to leave that kind of money? Because he knew what it was worth. He knew that he could get 50, 60, 70 million dollars, and then it turns out to be 3 years, $95 million. He's the best defensive tackle maybe to ever play in the NFL. He's certainly being paid like one. I mean, when you could say maybe you're better than Ndamukong Suh, and he is at this point of his career for sure, you're among the best ever. And so good for Aaron Donald. He's getting paid. Just a couple minutes left in the broadcast. Hey, I did this all by myself, and nobody died. At least nobody's died so far. Mike Melby will be back next week. This is the Husker Rewind. Did want to mention golf. Dustin Johnson signing, withdrawing his membership first from the PGA Tour and now has signed with the Saudi Golf League. He is a full-time member. He's getting, if these numbers are true, they're ridiculous. They are absolutely silliness. Dustin Johnson rumored to be getting $125 million over 3 years. In his entire PGA career, he made $74 million. I mean, that's not chump change. That's really good money. But the Saudi Golf League, I don't even know where you can watch it. I mean, I guess it's on YouTube and you can go get it on Facebook. But we just watched a phenomenal RBC Canadian Classic today. The Canadian Open was fantastic on the PGA Tour, the tour that the Saudi Golf League is now fighting with and trying to steal its players. I think the PGA, at least for me, at least today did. They proved that, well, you can actually watch them. And then when you watch them, you get great golf. You had a 3-man horse race today between Rory Mcilroy. You had Justin Thomas right there, tied with Rory, coming off, going to 17, tied at 17 under par. And then you had Tony Finau at 16, at 16 under par. Finau birdies 18. Justin Thomas, I think he bogeyed both 17 and 18. So Tony Finau actually finished second in that. But that was a great horse race and another great tour event. That's what I can count on with the PGA Tour. I can turn it on Sunday, and it's always going to be good. Even if it's an occasional blowout, you'll see a guy win by 3 or 4 strokes, and it looked like Rory was going to. I think after, was he 12 or 13, he was up 3 strokes and then just melted away, and that's the drama of the PGA Tour. And maybe you think you can recreate that on the LIV Golf Tour by just throwing money at the tour, and Phil Mickelson getting possibly $150 million, the rumors are, for not being a great golfer. I mean, he's not playing great golf. I know he won the PGA last year, but Phil's life has kind of melted before our eyes, and it's a little sad to me. But at the same time, if I'm Patrick Reed and they say to me, hey, you want $50 million to come over to our tour? I don't think I would turn that down. I don't think I would turn it down. And I can't blame these guys for doing that. Boston Celtics, they need to win tomorrow night. The NBA Finals still going on. We'll be back with another show next week, and hopefully Mike Melby will be here as part of the broadcast. I think we're filling in with Bach and Strick. We're going to be there on their show, The Block Party, on Friday, so we'll talk to you then. And then the Sunday Rewind next Sunday. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free